What's good, ladies and gentlemen? It's RFG back at it today. And I've had so many people hit me up wanting me to give my take on the whole Mandela effect. And, at first I was thinking that this phenomena was just, bogus, false claims. I was thinking that, most of the people that were pointing these things out, you see what I'm saying? They just had bad memories. That's what I was thinking, that their memories were just off. But as I looked into it, further down the line, this Mandela effect is very real, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Now, what I will say is, a lot of what's being shown, okay, as far as the phenomena, okay, that people are showing, the evidence for this Mandela effect, these are all distractions. These are all distractions, okay? There is a real purpose for this Mandela effect, okay? And it's nothing that has to do with these people are talking about, okay? And I'm not saying what they're saying is false. These things are actually happening, okay? But what I'm saying is there's a much deeper meaning to this Mandela effect that people are not being aware of, okay? So one thing I will say is Nelson Mandela. Most people remember him dying in prison in the 1980s, okay? But the records have it through the media and, the actual death records have it that he died in 2013. Okay. But everybody's memory, that's 35 and older remembers him, dying in prison in the 80s. Okay. Another thing is a lot of these logos, a lot of these, major company logos, major company slogans, they're changing. Okay. They're not what we remember. Okay. Same thing with certain movie scenes and movie lines, with Darth Vader and, the movie with, Shaq called, I think that was called, Shazam. Okay. A lot of people remember the, actor Sinbad in the movie Shazam, and he's not there anymore. Okay? A lot of weird shit. A lot of weird shit going on with this Mandela effect. And, we all know that somebody is basically playing with space-time. When shit like this happens, some deity, some entity is manipulating space-time and going back into the past to manipulate certain things so it will alter our future. They want the future altered in their favor, okay? Now, a lot of people don't know who it is and what their true motive is, and that's what this video is for. That's what I'm here for, to basically tell you guys the deeper meaning behind this, okay? So let's go ahead and get this started. What is the purpose of this Mandela effect, and who is behind it? Who is behind going back in the past and changing these events? Ladies and gentlemen, I know this is going to sound far-fetched, but the perpetrators of this Mandela effect are none other than the Greys. Okay? Than these Greys, these interdimensional Greys, okay? And one thing I will say is I was wrong, okay? My whole take and my whole synopsis on what the Greys were back in the day, about 2-3 years ago, I was wrong. I thought that these were some kind of space aliens from a different star constellation, and I can be the first to tell you that I couldn't be more further from the truth, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm about to blow everybody's socks off with this information, okay? Because a lot of people don't fully understand just what the Greys are. Some people think there's some kind of demonic entity from a different dimension. Other people think that there is some kind of space alien. Ladies and gentlemen, the Greys are the Caucasian. The Greys are the Caucasian race in the future. Okay? Let me repeat. The Greys, the deities we all know as these little tiny gray beings with big ass heads and big eyes. Okay? They are the Caucasian race. They are the white race from the future that's traveling back to the past to alter past events so it can manipulate their future in their favor. Okay? I know that sounds far-fetched. I know it sounds mind-boggling. I know it sounds crazy. But trust and believe, if you just pay very close attention to what I say, you're going to know and understand that it is very real. Okay? The Greys are the Caucasoid of the future that has traveled back to the past, okay, to check on humanity and to alter certain past events in their favor. Okay? And they're going to try to manipulate a past event where Caucasians were spliced into existence, okay, to alter their genetics so they can get a soul, okay? These Caucasians of the future, known as the Greys, they're trying to travel back to the past so they can figure out a way to get a soul, okay? Like I said, the Greys are Caucasians of the future that have figured out a way to create technology, okay, to manipulate space-time, to go back in time, to go back in the past, and to check on themselves in the past, okay? I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to break this down like no other. Okay? So right here, why is it only white people who get abducted by aliens? Out of all the things that I've seen and heard as far as alien abductions, it is above 90% of alien abductees, quote unquote alien abductees, okay, are Caucasian. And that is for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. And if you think I'm bullshitting, why in the hell do they have books out on white people being abducted by aliens? The title of this book is called Why Do Only White People Get Abducted by Aliens? So it's not only me, okay? It's not only me. There are fucking books being published, okay, on why white people are only being abducted. Okay, so I'm giving you the goddamn answer. You know why only white people are being abducted by aliens? I'll tell you why. Okay, the goddamn gray alien is the Caucasian of the future who has traveled back through space-time to check on themselves in the past and to alter past events to benefit themselves in the future. Okay, so CERN technology. CERN technology, what they're doing is they created a piece of technology called the particle collider. They basically found the smallest known particle of the universe, which is known as the neutrino. So they're colliding the neutrinos together, and they're trying to split the neutrino to create a whole nother solar system, but they can only make them collide, which causes wormholes, to form, okay? A wormhole is a portal through space-time. It is a artificial portal through space-time, okay? It's not a natural portal, okay? It's not natural. So this is what the Zionist Jews and the Caucasoid are doing in their underground military bases. They're using their particle colliders to open up artificial portals so these little gray deities can go to and from time, to and from different points of space-time. Okay? It's not a game, people. It's not a game whatsoever. This is going on all around us. Also, when these portals are opened, okay, by this particle collider here, when these portals are open, it doesn't do anything but harvest demonic energy, okay? There's a lot of demonic energy, a lot of lower deities on low vibrations, a lot of demonic entities come out of these artificial portals, okay? Because they were never meant to be opened in that manner. Okay? So this is what the Greys are doing, people. This is what the Greys are doing. This is what the Caucasoid of the future has done. Okay? Figured out a way to cause these subatomic particles to collide with one another, and that causes these artificial portals to open. Okay? This is what they're doing underground. Okay? And this is what they're doing to change things in the past, okay, that will alter our future. Okay? That is the Mandela effect. 100%. So what is it that the Greys are trying to do to ultimately change an event in the past to alter their future in a way that it will give the Grey a soul? It will give the Caucasian of the future a soul. Because that's what the Greys are. The Greys are Caucasians of the future. Okay? And the Greys' goal is to get a soul. So this is what the Greys are trying to do. They're trying to go back through space-time so they can go back to the time where Yakub basically spliced the Caucasians into existence. And what they're going to try to do is convince Yakub to give the Caucasians a form of neuromelanin. The Greys are going to try to go back into space-time to convince Yakub, okay, to convince Yakub to give the Caucasians a source of neuromelanin in their body, because the Greys want a fucking soul. The Greys do not have a fucking soul. They are 90% artificial, and I'm gonna be fucking proving it. Okay? So the Greys are gonna try to use this Mandela effect to use their CERN particle collider to open up an artificial portal, a wormhole, through space-time, so they can travel through the space-time, okay, in the past, change those past events, which will alter the future. Like I said, do not be fucking surprised if you wake up one day and white people don't fucking exist anymore, okay? You think it's a fucking joke? You think it's a fucking joke? Okay? Just explain to me these other instances, these other anomalies that have been taking place throughout time, throughout the past 10 to 15 years, okay? Where past events have been changed and altered, okay? How the fuck else can you explain that shit? You people better wake up, okay? Better wake the fuck up. Because like I said, when the Greys convince Yakub to give the Caucasoid a pineal gland, a functional pineal gland, and a form of neuromelanin, okay, you're gonna wake up and white people won't fucking exist anymore. Okay? You better wake up. So, what is the Grey? What is the Grey? The Grey is the Caucasoid of the future. The Grey is the Caucasoid of the future that traveled back through space-time to check on themselves. Okay? They like to check on themselves in the past. That's why only Caucasoids get abducted by these beings, because they are checking on themselves in the past. Period. Period. Plain and fucking simple. Okay? These motherfuckers got books out on why do only white people get abducted by the goddamn Greys. You know why? Because the Greys are the white people in the goddamn future. Okay? Mind-blowing fucking information. And I'm about to break down step by step how these Greys, okay, how the Caucasoid, when the Caucasoid continues on his lifestyle of destroying nature and destroying the indigenous people of the planet, okay, And when the Caucasoid continues to detach himself from nature, this is who the Caucasoid is going to become. This is who the Caucasoid is going to become. Okay? A deity that is all brain, no heart, no intestines, no reproductive organs, no rectum, okay? No neuromelanin, no goddamn soul, okay? Very small, tiny mouth, okay? I'm about to break this shit down, so just stay tuned, okay? So the goal for the Greys, the goal for these gray deities is to detach humans from nature, to detach humans from nature, okay? To detach us from the true God source that connects us to the universe, okay? Nature on this earth connects humans to the universe, to the stars, to the cosmos, to the Elohims, okay? Our connection to them is nature, which is the major rainforests and jungles on the earth. So their goal is to completely disconnect humans from human to human interaction and to disconnect us from human to nature interaction, to completely throw off that connection. So how the fuck do they do it? This is how they do it. Okay? They create technology, superior fucking technology, okay? Which is actually inferior because it's artificial. It detaches you from the true God source of the universe, which is nature, okay? So they created the goddamn smartphones. They created the goddamn new age laptops. They created the goddamn iPads, the Samsung Notes. Okay, they created the internet. They created all this artificial technology, all of these goddamn gadgets. Okay, to detach us from the real reality, from the real 3D, and we're getting sucked actually back into fucking 2D, into 2D reality. You see what I'm saying? That's why I laugh at flat earth motherfuckers, because they've actually been fooled into a fucking 2D reality that you can draw on. You see what I'm saying? You see this? This is 3D. You see? 3-dimensional. The sphere is 3-dimensional. Okay? But I'm not even going to delve into that. I'm just going to touch on how these grays pulled us out of our real reality and got us focused on the fucking artificial. Okay? So they had to create superficial, artificial technology to create a false reality for humanity. Okay? They have the smartphones, they have the tablets, they have the iPads, they have the laptops, they have the fucking game systems. Okay? They have the fucking internet. And now they even have the fucking virtual reality glasses, because they want your asses to be trapped in the goddamn virtual reality while the rest of humanity, okay, ascends into 5th dimensional consciousness. As we get closer to the center of the Milky Way, there's going to be a select few of humans on the earth who ascend to 5th dimensional consciousness while the rest of humanity gets trapped, okay, in this fucking 2D/3D fucking prison of false light, okay, of this fake ass artificial technology, okay, because most of the humans are going to fall prey to the grays and the interterrestrials' plan of being sucked in and harvested, okay, sucked in by this false light of this new age fucking bullshit technology. And it was only used to cause humanity to devolve, okay, away from nature. Okay, so this is the Caucasoid society. Okay, this is the Caucasoid society. Okay, they're also laying off tens of thousands of employees at Walmart because they want to implement kiosks. They want to implement robotic artificial intelligence kiosks. Okay, so people can only use that so they can pay for their items. Okay, and I'm here to tell you that's not the end of it. They're also going to implement robots as customer service. They're going to get rid of the customer service people and implement robots for fucking customer service. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, humans are going to be fucking obsolete. Okay? So this is how the Caucasoid turned himself into the gray. Okay? Basically that's how he got turned into the gray in the future. Okay? Right now we have robots serving people in restaurants in China and in Japan. Okay? Fucking robots serving people their food. Okay? We have a government who is now implementing artificial wombs. Artificial wombs. Okay? Where babies can be artificially inseminated in a artificial robotic womb. Okay? And their genetics can be altered to where whatever the parent or the government wants for that baby to have that kind of personality or have that kind of genetic trait, they're going to be able to do it. So these are fucking artificial clone babies. Artificial fucking clone babies with no soul. With no fucking soul. You know why? Because they've been disconnected from the soul, which was the stargate from the sun. Okay, the stargate from the sun and their mother's womb. They didn't go through that fucking process, so they are artificial clone babies. Okay? You have them. You have them, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? This is also how your food is fucking made. For all the beef and the pork eaters out there, this is how your fucking food is made. Okay? If you're not killing the fucking wild animal yourself, the real wild animal yourself, and eating that shit, okay, you're gonna have a whole bunch of parasites in you, okay, and a whole bunch of fucking demonic energy in you. Plain and simple. Okay, so this is the society that the Greys want the humans to live in. A completely artificial society where humans completely detach themselves from nature, from the true God source of the universe. Okay? It's not a game, people. You better wake the hell up. It's humanity versus the artificial robot. Humanity versus the artificial robot. Okay? So the gray deity is the fucking human, the Caucasoid that has mixed himself with the robot. Okay? So that's why the Greys, they have a small ass mouth and they don't have intestines and they don't have any genitalia and they don't have a rectum and they don't have a heart because they are artificial. They are mostly artificial, people. Okay? They're also going to be implementing RoboCops in the future. Okay? They're also going to be implementing RoboCops in the future, people. Because the Zionist Jews and the Greys, their goal is to detach people from nature by any means necessary. Okay? And for all of the motherfuckers out there saying that my work is pseudo, oh, I got something for you. I got something for you. Because I just came to the conclusion, all the motherfuckers that call me pseudo, okay, at this point, they're either just haters or they're just dumb. They're just dumb as hell. Okay? So, here goes your real life RoboCop that was implemented a couple of months ago in Dubai, Saudi Arabia. Okay? Here's your RoboCop of the future.
The Dubai police robots can help people use our smart services, like checking their fines and applying for conduct certificates. Also, it has a face recognition. And if you are walking in the mall and you had a problem, you can just press the SOS button and the tool can connect you live with our operation room. So they give you what you need and they will help you.
Can you show how it
Welcome,
works?
sir.
Here our smart services. You can use it. Any service you need.
I am Dubai Police Robot. How can I help you?
So when you
Hello.
see the robot in the mall and you need to use our services, you can just stand in front of the robot and he will stop and apply any service you need. You can use it.
Can you make it talk?
To talk. Hi.
نرحب بكم في منصة شرطة دبي. كيف يمكنني مساعدتك؟ السلام عليكم. معكم الملازم الثاني رجل شرطة دبي الآلي. كيف يمكنني مساعدتك؟
Hi, how are you?
I am Dubai Police Robot. How can I help you? Please select any services.
Okay, so that's basically right there. That's a RoboCop in the beginning stages of their evolution. So that RoboCop right there only accepts complaints as far as reporting a crime. They don't actually take care of the crime and solve it. But you better believe that our government has those kinds of robots in the works, ready to be deployed on the force, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? These are the beginning stages of the real fucking RoboCop coming into existence on these streets. Okay? So we are going to be living in a fucking society that is completely controlled by artificial objects. Okay? By completely artificial, superficial and artificial objects. Okay? Which is going to completely detach us from our human connection with one another, and it's going to completely detach us from our human connection with nature. That's the Zionist Jews' goal, and that's the Greys' goal. Okay? So, once again, the Greys are white people in the future who basically detach themselves. This basically shows that in the future, white people will detach themselves so much from nature and so much from human to human connection that they themselves will become artificial, and they themselves will become the gray. They will become the gray. Okay? So, more artificial technology. Right here we have the stealth. The stealth is artificial intelligence. Okay? The new stealth, okay, that our government has is completely AI, artificially intelligent, self-piloted, okay? Same thing with the Aurora, artificial intelligence, just like the goddamn movie Stealth with Jamie Foxx, okay? Right there in front of your faces, okay? So we are forming a society where a human-to-human connection is not valued and it's not needed, and a human to nature, okay, human to nature connection is not valued and not needed. Okay, so as that kind of bullshit society devolves, people are going to devolve, especially the Caucasoid. They're going to devolve into the Greys, and you'll see. Just pay very close attention to what I'm stating here. Okay, it's right here. They also are implementing the virtual reality glasses. They don't only want you to play the video games. They want you to go into the virtual fucking reality. They want you to live. They want you to live and to fucking thrive and to fucking focus your whole essence and your whole electromagnetic existence. They want you to focus that into something that's artificial. You know why? Because you're going to be trapped there. You're going to be fucking trapped there. When the rest of us that are on 13 vibration, when the rest of us on 13 vibration, when we ascend to 5th dimensional consciousness, the rest of you motherfuckers are going to be trapped in 2D, 3D paradigm. Okay? Just where fucking Lucifer and Set/Satan, where they want you. Just where they want you. Okay? You're going to be sucked into the goddamn matrix, into a fake ass video game reality, just like the goddamn Tron Legacy movie. Just like Tron Legacy. That's where you're going to be trapped at. That's where you're going to be trapped at. Okay? You're going to be in a fucking artificial existence, where you have no soul, you don't have a real heart, you don't have real intestines, okay? You don't have any sexual organs. Everything you do is artificial, okay? Dealing with artificial light, artificial fake ass light waves, okay? Satan's fake ass artificial light waves. Satan and Lucifer, Hathor and Set, okay? This is their reality. So for those on that bullshit, okay, stuck in the fucking matrix, doing everything the fucking government wants you to do, you're going to be trapped here. You're going to be trapped here in Hathor and Set's paradigm. Okay? And this is the fucking nail in the coffin. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the nail in the coffin. I just stated that the Greys are white people of the future, right? Because they detached themselves from nature so much that they didn't need their body. They didn't need to use their bodies. All they needed was their brain. So let's look at this motherfucker, Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking is considered one of the, smartest people in the world, according to Caucasoid Society. He's considered one of the smartest people in the world. But look, just look at this guy. Look at this guy and look at his image and look at his makeup. This guy right here is so fucking tied to technology, okay? So tied to fucking the government's information and to technology that he has no need for fucking bodily function. He has no need for bodily function. He has legs that are immobile legs, immobile arms, okay? Immobile fucking throat, because he has to speak through a fucking computer. So the only thing that is really functional on this man's body is his fucking brain. So you can't tell me otherwise that the Greys are not the Caucasian race of the future. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the Zionist Jews and the society, okay, that is promoted through technological advancement, the society of technological advancement, this is how they want humans. This is how they want humans. Completely lazy, a complete disregard for human to nature connection, a complete disregard for human to human connection. So they just indulge themselves in artificial technology so much to the point where their bodies fucking shut down because they're not even being fucking used. Okay? This is how they want the Caucasoid race of the future, the rest of the races as well, but in particular the Caucasoid, because the original Caucasoid was spliced, okay, without neuromelanin. So the Greys are a bunch of fucking Stephen Hawking like white people in the future, okay, who basically figured out a way to manipulate space-time to come back and to check on themselves in the past. Okay? Okay? So right here you see Stephen Hawking. He has no fucking use for his body. He is all brain. He is all brain. And when we look at the Greys, okay, the Greys have no fucking use for their body. They are all brain. They are all brain. Okay, they are mostly artificial. They are mostly artificial. And this is why white people are the only ones being abducted by the fucking Greys, because the fucking Greys are white people of the future, checking on themselves in the past. And if you think I'm out of my fucking mind, not only do other people know about it, other people are actually writing fucking books on what I just stated. Okay? Why do only white people get abducted by aliens? This is why. Okay? Those are the cold, hard facts for your ass. Cold, hard facts. Okay? Not a game. Not a fucking game. The Caucasoid is being pulled so far out of nature so far away from his human connection that he is going to eventually become the gray. He's going to become the gray in the future. Okay. That's why, they're checking on themselves in the past, and they are changing past events, to manipulate the future. The gray's mission is to go back 6,000 years to convince Yaqub to give the Caucasoid a form of neuromelanin, okay, so they can have a soul. So don't be fucking surprised if you see white, if you wake up one day. Don't be surprised if you wake up one day and white people don't fucking exist, okay? Like I said, you heard it here first. You heard it here first. So the problem that the Greys are going to run into on this mission of trying to convince Yaqub to give them a form of neuromelanin, okay, this is the problem. They're going to run into these deities, okay, these deities with 22 chakras, known as the Elohim. They're going to run into these deities, okay? And these deities known as Elohim, they're going to deny them. They're going to deny the Greys this request, okay? They're going to deny the Greys this request. So that's why the Greys are going to have to contact Yaqub, because Yaqub was a lesser god, a god on a much lower level. Okay? So right here, you have a Elohim who basically, he basically slowed down his vibration. Okay, opened up a wormhole portal to basically manifest himself on this third dimensional realm. Okay, to give himself a physical body. Okay, and when he has the physical body, he's anywhere from 9 to 12 feet tall. Okay, actually 9 to 15 feet tall. This right here is a 22 chakra being, a 22 chakra being. Okay, these deities were responsible for creating the first human bodies into existence. Okay, this right here is an Elohim found in California, right near Los Angeles. Why the fuck do they call it Los Angeles? Los Angeles, the lost angels, the goddamn fallen angels that manifested themselves in this realm, the fallen Elohim that manifested themselves in this physical realm. That's why so much bullshit goes on in California, because that's where the fucking lost angels first fell, okay, and manifested themselves on this earth, okay? When they came from Mars and they came from Nyan Tolo, okay, when they came from the Sirius star system, they landed near fucking Los Angeles. Los Angeles, lost angels, lost Elohims, fallen Elohims, lost Angeles. That's why that land is so sacred. That's why Hollywood had to be built there, okay? Because they had to turn that goddamn energy upside down. Okay, the city of the goddamn lost angels, and that's why it will be taken off of the map. At least half of California will eventually be taken off of the map. See what I'm saying? For what they did to humanity, how they caused humanity to devolve. Hollywood played a major role in that. But just like this deity right here is an Elohim with 22 chakras, Osiris and Set are two deities that have 22 chakras, and they can manifest themselves in and out of this dimension. Okay, just like the rest of them. But Set, I'm going to blow you guys away. Set is a deity in this dimension with a physical body. Okay, let me repeat. Set, aka Satan, is a physical deity in this third dimension. Okay, so is Osiris. And so is Osiris. And they are both 22 chakra. They are both 22 chakra beings. Okay? The 22 chakra beings, the gods with 22 chakras, are known as the guardians of the galaxy. They're known as the guardians of the galaxy. Okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is why the number 22 is the master builder number. It's the master builder number. It's the master number, because the builders of the pyramids, the builders of the first humans, The individuals who spliced the first humans into existence and created certain life forms on planets, okay, and created the pyramids and who traveled the galaxy, okay, those are the master builders. Those are the guardians of the galaxy. Those are the Elohims. They have 22 chakras. That's why in esoteric symbolism and in numerology, okay, 22 is the goddamn master number, okay? Let me tell you a little secret. That's why RFG goes back to 22 numerology, and I set it up that way, okay? Because that number, that sequence, that letter sequence holds this number value, 22. That's why I did it, okay? 22 is the goddamn master number, okay? So the deities with 22 chakras, the guardians of the galaxy, spliced the humans into existence, and the humans have 13 chakras. The original melanated humans, okay, the melanated people in the Americas and in the melanated people in Africa, okay, we have 13 chakras. We have 13 chakras, okay? Our creators have 22 chakras, okay? This deity right here has 22 chakras. Okay, it's not a game. And remember, 13 and 22 go back to what? The number 4. The number 4. Okay? In your Bible, it says 4 corners of the earth, but they really meant 4 corners of the universe. Okay? And that's why humans and most sentient beings, most intelligent sentient beings, have 4 chambers in their heart. The heart has 4 chambers because 4 is the number of creation. The number of creation and completion. It goes back to the number 4. Okay? That's why you say, I'm fortunate. The universe makes me fortunate. Okay? Going back to the number 4. The universe has 4 corners. That's why we have 4 chambers in our heart. And we have 13 chakras. And the deities that spliced us into existence have 22 chakras. Okay? 4 is the number of universal creation and completion. Let's keep it going. Also, I just stated how Osiris and Set and the rest of the gods in Kemet and all around the world, they were gods that were only gods over this galaxy, over the Milky Way galaxy. There's trillions of other galaxies, okay? There's trillions of other galaxies. So there is a deity, there is a source of absolute pure orgone energy, okay? Orgone is the life force of what we call God, of what we call the ultimate God, of the end all be all. There is a source of orgone that is basically the end all be all. That is the creative source of all orgone energy into existence. That is creating all universes simultaneously that coexist with one another. There is a supreme, ultimate God source, okay, that basically sets the orgone energy in motion. And this God has no beginning and has no end. This God is the end all be all, the alpha and the omega, okay? The positive and the negative, the feminine and the masculine, the yin and the yang, okay? I spent so much time on this journey of enlightenment seeking who exactly the creator was and what was the true purpose of the creator. And the true purpose of the creator was to experience life through sentient beings in multiple universes simultaneously. Because we are all, no matter what realm or what universe we live in, we are all pieces of the creator, okay? And this intelligent God source, okay, the creator of orgone energy, the ultimate form of orgone energy, is this deity known as Ptah. Ptah is God, is the one true God of the universe. And this is what a lot of people who call themselves Egyptologists, this is what they've missed. Okay? Osiris and Set are battling for rulership over the third dimension, over this Milky Way galaxy. Okay? Osiris and Set is just for control over this Milky Way galaxy. Okay? And those are 22 chakra beings. So when you talk about a deity that is the one true God source, responsible for the whole universe being created and multiple universes, okay, that is the God of the macroverse. Okay, these gods over the galaxies, those are 22 chakra gods. This deity that I'm referring to is the macroverse. Okay, the God over the macroverse, the God of all gods, the God of creation of all multiple universes. Okay, that is known as Ptah. Let's understand what Ptah really is. Okay, what this deity symbolizes. In the Memphite theology, Ptah is the primal creator, the first of all gods, creator of the world and all that is in it. He is the artificer and the creator God. Bingo. Okay? According to the priests of Memphis, the ancient capital of Egypt, Ptah is not created, but simply is. But simply is. Ladies and gentlemen, okay? This should have been the God of the Bible, but the God in the Bible, okay, is really set. Is really set. God in the Bible is really set. Okay? Flat the fuck out. So the creator of the multiple universes, okay, which has no beginning, has no end, known as Ptah, a deity known as Ptah. And notice his name. I'm not sure if you pronounce the P. If you don't, it would just be Ta. But it's interesting that the last part of his name ends in AH. Let me tell you something about that AH. The AH is directly connected with Ptah because Ptah is responsible for the Ah. He's responsible for the Ah. You know why? No matter what you do in this universe, no matter where you go in this universe, no matter what kind of life you're experiencing, you're never going to be able to escape the Ah. Now, what is the Ah? The Ah is the expression of creation. The Ah is the expression of the Almighty and the creation. Okay? When you have a bright idea in your head of creation, what do you say? You say, ah. You say, ah. Or aha. Or, let's say, you get burned, or you get tackled really hard, or you get beat the fuck up, or you get tackled. You say, ah. You say, ah, that hurt. Ah. You see what I'm saying? Let's say you're having an orgasm. You say, ah. You say the same thing, the same expression, ah, because it's a form of creation. It's a form of creation, people. You can, or let's say you're falling off of a cliff, or you're going skydiving. You say, ah, again, because we as humans having a human experience, okay, who are pieces of the Creator, we cannot escape this ah expression because we cannot escape the energy of our Creator, who is Ptah, okay, who is responsible for the ah experience, the ah expression. Ptah is responsible for that, okay, for the organ energy of the universe. This is the ultimate source of organ, which is nothing but life. Organ is nothing but life force. Okay? And Ptah is the deity that set that in motion. Okay? Ptah has no parents, no beginning, no end. Ptah is the true God of gods. This is why Hollywood, okay, created their fucking Oscar, and their Oscar is just a slap in the face, okay? So right here you have it. Right here. Here you got Ptah, and you got the fucking Oscar, okay? It's a mockery to Osiris and Ptah. Osiris is the god over the Milky Way galaxy who was dethroned by Set, okay? And then Ptah is the ultimate creator of multiple universes. And so the Oscar is basically mocking, okay, the two true gods, okay, over our paradigm. You see, once again, the Zionist Jews that created Hollywood, they know our ancestors' information. They know our ancestors' spirituality. They know our ancestors' history, but most of us don't. And my job is to wake the people up, so you can have a knowledge of self and you can understand what the fuck is going on around you. Okay? So, basically, see what I'm saying? Now that I broke down the higher God, okay, and the lesser gods, okay, you have 22 chakra gods known as the Elohim, okay? We talk about Osiris, Set, deities like Anubis, Horus, Ra. You're talking about gods that can go from anywhere from 22 to 31 chakras, okay? 22 to 31 chakras. Okay, and they spliced us into existence. That's why humans, the original humans, have 13 chakras. And the Greys, when we talk about the Greys manipulating space-time, the Greys are only going to be able to convince Yaqub to give them a form of neuromelanin. Okay? They can only try to convince Yaqub because the Elohims are definitely not going to go for some bullshit like that. They're going to try to convince Yaqub to basically undo what he did. And if they do that, we might wake up one day without white people. Okay? Because of what the Greys are doing. Because of what the Greys are doing with the Mandela effect. Okay? The Greys are behind the Mandela effect. They are the Caucasoid race that traveled through space-time to check on themselves in the past. They detached themselves from nature. They detached themselves from a human connection so much that they lost the need to even have a stomach, to even have intestines, to even have a fucking a rectum, to even have genitalia. They didn't need that because they detached themselves from fucking nature. So everything they do, okay, to live, everything they do to live is artificial. It's fucking artificial. The Caucasoid merged himself with the fucking artificial light spectrum, Lucifer's light spectrum, and had no need of connecting himself with nature. So the Caucasoid himself became the Grey in the future. Okay, so this is why white people only get abducted by the Greys, because the Greys are experimenting and checking on themselves in the fucking past. Okay? If you think it's bullshit, like I said, I knew I wasn't crazy. Motherfuckers is already writing and publishing books on this shit, on this same topic. Why do only white people get abducted by aliens? That's a good motherfucking question, and I just explained it, okay? Because they are the white people of the future who are checking on themselves in the past. And that perfectly explains what's going on with this Mandela effect phenomena. I hope I was able to answer mostly everybody's questions. If you got any more questions, feel free to hit me up in the comment section. Feel free to hit me up on Instagram. My Instagram is RFG_chosen1, the number one. Once again, RFG_chosen1, the number one. I appreciate everyone who supports RFG and Atlantean movement. Please like, share, and subscribe. It's the Chosen One, man. I'm out.